Hey guys, and welcome to today's idiot video. Now in today's video, we're going to be discussing a video by JM Truth TV titled Joshua Michael Destroys Gravity. Now keep in mind, JM Truth TV is a self-proclaimed physicist who doesn't understand the difference between negative numbers and negative exponents. So I don't think gravity has anything to worry about. So let's begin.
Hello, my friends. Yes, I am sitting in a graduation cap and gown.
Okay, so I'm going to make a prediction here and predict that JM Truth TV is going to suggest that because he has a, and I'm going to use my serious air quotes here, a Master's of Science degree, that he is somehow qualified to speak on these topics, when in reality, his Master's of Science degree came from an online university and involved no real science at all. JM Truth, you are a fucking idiot.
Today I thought I'd have some fun. I'm going to get involved as a graduate on this paradigm of the flat earth, round earth, and put myself out in front of you.
What did I say? This idiot couldn't go 30 seconds into his video without mentioning his graduate degree as if it's a crutch that gives him some kind of legitimacy in a scientific conversation.
But today, I'm going to give a very special block of instruction. And I'm going to destroy gravity.
So you're going to destroy gravity, huh? Well, I'm going to destroy you because JM Truth, you are a fucking idiot.
Because gravity, in fact, doesn't exist.
If gravity didn't exist, then why do all objects fall to the ground when they're dropped? I mean, Desert File knows. Hey Desert File, can you explain to JM Truthless why all objects fall to the ground when they're dropped?
Gravity, you fucking retard! Gravity! Have you ever heard of fucking gravity? Gravity!
JM Truth, you are an idiot.
Despite what Neil deGrasse Tyson says, despite what Mortimer 81 says and others, but I would have you know that gravity is ridiculous.
Oh my god, you're such an idiot. You do realize that the only thing that's ridiculous is you waving around that upside down drumstick as if it's magically gonna make gravity disappear. The least you could have done is gone to the toy store and got a real magic wand.
So today, we are going to look at gravity, because it is ridiculous.
Every time JM Truth says that gravity is ridiculous and waves his magic drumstick around, I'm not going to take time to stop the video. I'm just going to ring the dinger and increase the idiot count by 1.
And I'm going to prove how ridiculous it is. I may also destroy Harry Potter in the process. That is a unfortunate casualty of the stupidity of gravity.
Harry Potter doesn't exist, so it would be impossible for you to destroy him, you idiot. Gravity, on the other hand, does exist. So until you can jump off of your trailer without falling to the ground, your broken legs will be the casualty of gravity.
Because gravity is ridiculous. So with that having been said, let us take a look at gravity. Or should I say, because gravity is ridiculous.
For somebody who has a degree in filmmaking, your video editing skills suck. I mean, why ruin that perfectly good character morph with an absolutely horrendous video transition? These are basic concepts that any professional filmmaker should understand, and yet your videos are full of these types of mistakes. I think it's safe to assume that your filmmaking skills are about as proficient as your math and science skills, because JM Truth, you are an idiot.
Okay, folks. So first, we're going to take a look at how do we establish things. First, it's through scientific method. And I hear all kinds of people talking about all kinds of things about the scientific method. There is only one scientific method, and this is how you test to see if something is in fact true using the scientific method?
First off, there isn't just one scientific method. Versions of the scientific method have been traced back in history all the way to around 1600 BCE and have evolved into what we consider today to be the modern scientific method proposed by Roger Bacon, which employs a repetitive cycle of observation, hypothesis, experimentation, and most importantly, independent verification, or peer review. JM Truth, you're an idiot.
Before I go on, let's examine something called mass, density, and buoyancy.
Mass, density, buoyancy, a good job, and an education. 5 things flat earth idiots will never get.
Now, before gravity and before Newton, there was mass, density, and buoyancy. Mass was responsible not only for the quantity of matter, but also for how hard something fell to the earth. Here in this journal, it says mass is related to how hard objects are attracted to the earth. That's funny. I thought gravity did that.
JM Truth, you're an idiot. Gravity just provides acceleration and is based on the mass of the earth and the distance an object is from the center of the earth. This gives us A in the equation F equals ma. So now that we have the acceleration, we can say that the force that an object is pulled to the surface of the earth is proportional to the mass of that object. So that if we have 2 objects, one being twice as heavy as the other, the object that's twice as heavy will be pulled to the surface with twice as much force than the object that's half as heavy.
However, now some people say, well, mass, gravity. Folks, mass was first the explanation of how hard things fell to the earth. Gravity came later. In fact, gravity didn't appear, like I said, until Newton, and Newton wrote about it. And if you look back through the annals of time, Newton was an Illuminati. That's not in question, folks.
The anvils of time? I think you mean the annals of time, you absolute fucking idiot. And whether Newton was part of the Illuminati or not is irrelevant. If the science is wrong, then you should be able to prove it through experimentation.
Okay, so mass was used to define how much matter was in an object and how, in fact, it was attracted to the earth. Not gravity, mass.
Yeah, all of that is wrong. First, if we're going to speak in scientific terms, mass is defined as the total amount of energy in a system. And this includes particles like gluons, which aren't really made of material but are almost pure energy. Second, mass does not define how it is attracted to other mass. That's general relativity. And mass is only part of that equation. Not to mention, it has been proven that light bends around massive celestial objects while photons have no mass themselves.
Okay, density was in fact how tightly those atoms were packed together. So, for example, a solid bowling ball is more dense than foam, which a bowling ball would sink in water. Foam will float on the top. Okay? Why? Because the foam is far less dense than a bowling ball. Okay?
JM Truth, you're such a simpleton. The bowling ball sinks because the bowling ball is more dense than the water. The foam ball floats because the foam ball is less dense than the water. The question you should be asking yourself is, if the foam ball is less dense than the water, then when it sits on the surface, why does it sink ever so slightly? I mean, the density of the water is the same at the surface as it is below the surface, but yet it still semi-submerges. Desert File, would you like to take a shot at this?
Gravity, you fucking retard! Gravity! Have you ever heard of fucking gravity? Gravity! Gravity!
JM Truth, you are a fucking idiot.
Now, buoyancy is the force that causes an object to float, either in the air or in the water. And there are some who would even argue that air has a lot of water in it and is in fact a liquid.
Wow, you really are stupid. Air is not a liquid. it's a gas that's fluid, and the water that's in the air is in the form of water vapor, which is not the same as liquid water, you absolute idiot.
Now, I'm not going to argue that. I'm simply making the point that buoyancy is responsible for the things that go up and float, either in air, as I mentioned before, or in the water. And density was the force related to something falling to the ground or sinking, one of those two. Okay?
You want us to take you and your science degree seriously, and then you say something stupid like density is a force. It makes me wonder how many decades it took you to learn how to tie your shoes. JM Truth, you're an idiot.
And here we can see, now here on this that you're looking at, it says mass is related to an object's inertia, but it is also related to how hard objects are attracted to the Earth. Now, if you go on, it also says better minds than ours have been confused over the meaning of the concept mass, and even today, better minds than ours contemplate what mass really means. Now, I'm not going to go into all that mumbo jumbo.
Of course you don't want to discuss the science mumbo jumbo. I wouldn't want to discuss it either if I was completely oblivious to the topics. But this is probably because you don't understand what is being said, or you can't refute the claims that are being made. Or maybe the reading comprehension is above the single-digit numbers that are taught in American pre-kindergarten classes.
What I am going to show you is that the powers that be are laying things in front of you to suggest to you that there are people out there that have better minds than yours. This is what we call suggestive programming, folks. Better minds than ours, and as stated twice, better minds than ours, again, it is suggestive programming, and in essence says your mind isn't as good as this one over here, and this person's better than you. Folks, that is complete hogwash.
And this is what we call intellectual hubris, which is a key component in the Dunning-Kruger effect, because I have personally seen greater minds in brain-dead dog shit than in JM Truth and his merry band of flat earth idiots. But to address the point, there are people out there who just get it, JM. This is why not everybody is capable of being a doctor or a scientist. Those jobs are typically reserved for people who have higher brain power than a discount garden gnome.
Okay? You've been programmed to think negatively about yourself. Okay? I just wanted to add that in there. That's my little 2 cents.
Nobody cares about your 2 times 10 to the negative $2 worth of information. The JM Truth, you're an idiot.
Now, that having been said, there are in fact people like Neil deGrasse Tyson who, if you ask him what gravity is, responds like this. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that he has no answer for gravity, and he can't give mass as an answer because mass is already spoken for.
Mass is already spoken for? What does that even mean? Because mass is simply a property of an object, and we can use that property in different mathematical equations to describe how that object will behave in reality. For instance, the equation F equals ma describes how much force is necessary to get an object of a certain mass to accelerate at a particular rate. And then there's the kinetic force equation, 1/2 mv squared. And let's not forget Newton's law of gravitational attraction, F equals big G m1 m2 over r squared. So mass isn't spoken for, but JM Truth is an idiot.
And so gravity is this magical force that Neil deGrasse Tyson likes to take a microphone and drop it to the floor. Mortimer 81 likes to take a pencil and drop it, call you a name while he's telling you that's gravity.
Yeah, I can admit I really miss Mortimer 81 calling you guys names, so I dug this gem up for the viewer's delight and especially for you, JM Truth.
You're an idiot.
Yet that's not gravity. Science has already indicated that mass is responsible for that phenomenon. So folks, I'm going to present you with more information here on this journal called Gravity Its Own Theory, and it's a library resource, by the way.
Okay, so I'm not going to ruin the joke about the article that J.M. Truth just cited, but I am going to say that a library resource is nothing more than a source of information that you would typically find in a library. For instance, if I wanted to write a book on Norse mythology, then that book would become a library resource for anybody studying Norse mythology, but it doesn't mean that Odin and Asgard actually exist.
It says universal gravity is a theory, not a fact. Well, let's read that again.
Universal gravitation is a law, not a theory, you idiot. But don't let me stop you from saying something stupid.
Universal gravity is a theory, not a fact.
Universal gravitation is a law, not a theory, you idiot.
Let's read that again just one more time. Just for those of you who missed it the first 2 times. Okay, folks, here it says universal gravity is a theory, not a fact. Regarding the natural law of attraction, this material should be approached with an open mind, studied carefully, and critically considered.
Okay, so let's start by taking a critical look at the article that you just cited. It comes from the website ncsc.com, or the National Center for Science Education. That's funny because most websites from actual accredited educational sources typically end with .edu, not .com. But besides that, let's focus on the very opening statement of the article. It reads, "This satirical look at only a theory." Satirical, JM, do you even know what that word means? Let's assume that you don't. A satire is a work of art that is meant to humor the people who are engaging with it. In other words, it's a fucking joke, JM, not meant to be taken seriously. God, you are such a moron. But let's continue with the article. Disclaimers imagines what might happen if advocates applied the same logic to the theory of gravitation that they do to the theory of evolution. First off, this joke of an article can't be taken seriously, as they too refer to it as the theory of gravitational attraction and not the law of universal gravitation. Apparently, they are just as stupid as J.M. Truth, and trying to reconcile the law of gravitational attraction with the theory of natural selection is like trying to say that an apple is not an apple because it doesn't meet the criteria to be a donkey. J.M. Truth, the fact that this article admits that it is a satire and you are presenting it as factual is only proof that you are a fucking idiot.
Now, folks, you've been taught not to use your senses, to not trust your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth. And we've been taught to ignore our senses for the magic of NASA.
Wait, this is coming from the guy who's wearing birth control glasses because his sense of sight is just so great. There is a reason why using only your senses to make scientific observations is pretty fucking stupid. Real science is done with specific instrumentation that's designed to measure these phenomenon properly. J.M. Truth, you are a blind, science-denying idiot, and it doesn't take glasses and the scientific method to observe that.
This is, first of all, no one has measured gravity for every atom and every star. That is a true fact. It is simply a religious belief that is, in fact, universal.
You can't measure the gravity of a single object. You need 2 masses and a distance between the 2 masses to get a gravitational force. And why would we need to measure the gravitational influence of every particle in the universe? Have we measured every red beam of light to ensure that the wavelength is between 635 and 700 nanometers? No, we haven't. But we don't need to. We understand light well enough to know that those wavelengths correspond to red light, just as we can calculate the gravitational attraction given 2 masses and a distance between the 2 masses.
Unfortunately, it is clearly admitted that gravity is not a fact, yet it is written in every science book, in every school, in every district, in every state, in every country, in every nation around the world. At what point do we stand up and say enough's enough?
You just can't present a satirical internet article and claim that it is scientifically accurate. That's like me pulling out the Sunday comics to learn quantum physics. And I would suggest that flat earthers stand up and say enough is enough when they're tired of being homeless, jobless, and estranged from their families, all because they want to believe in some childish fairy tale. But they also have to recognize that they're in that position. And unfortunately for flat earthers, they never admit they're wrong. But unfortunately for flat earthers, they're all fucking idiots.
The universal theory of gravity is often taught in schools as a fact, when it is in fact not even a good theory.
It's not a good theory because it's not a fucking theory. It's a goddamn scientific law, you fucking idiot.
Folks, I would also encourage you to look into the argument of what they call the firmament or the ether. The argument of whether the ether exists or it doesn't exist.
Hold on. Even fellow flat earth idiots will argue with you on this one that the ether and the firmament are two completely different things. The ether is the proposed medium in which scientists used to believe light propagated through, while the firmament is the supposed dome over our head that a bearded sky wizard puts his smelly feet on at the end of each day. And according to every science experiment ever designed to test for the ether, it doesn't fucking exist. So the ether is about as real as the flat earth, which is about as real as the firmament, which is about as real as golden monkey farts and pink elephant kisses.
The Bible calls it the firmament and says it is a hard dome of molten metal or molten glass, depending on who you ask. Glass is simply a crystal. Metal can also be considered the same.
Oh my god, JM Truth, listen to your flawed logic. If there was a firmament above our heads, which was made from either molten glass or molten metal, which are both fluid and denser than the air beneath it, why then are we not bombarded with pieces of the firmament dripping down onto the surface of the earth all the time? I know, because there is no firmament above our heads, especially one that's molten, and JM Truth is a bona fide idiot.
Okay? So, with that having been said, I would suggest, if people want to argue about science and use science as its method of, then let us use real science and not foolishness like dropping pens and microphones and calling it this or that.
Oh, I get it. You mean real science, like quoting the Bible and proclaiming it as real without a single piece of evidence to support your claim. Or saying that there's a dome over our head when no human in the history of mankind has ever seen or touched a dome. Or saying that there is an ether when scientifically the ether has been disproven beyond any doubt. Flat earthers, like JM Truth, are walking contradictions whose definitions and standards of acceptance are heavily biased towards their own personal belief system. But flat earthers, like JM Truth, are fucking idiots.
Okay? Just because Neil deGrasse Tyson has a degree in something called astrophysics, when most of you can't even probably contemplate what that means. I don't even contemplate what that means, because that would imply that there's a different law of physics for the astrology or the astrological world.
JM Truth, you are an idiot, because astrophysicists don't study astrology. They study astrophysics, which are the physics behind the celestial objects, whereas astrology is the study of how the position of celestial objects affects our daily life, like tarot cards, palm readings, and horoscopes. See, I bet you didn't even know the difference between the two. One being an actual science, astrophysics, and the other being a pseudoscientific scam, astrology. So I think this is going to be where we end the video today. After that last comment, I don't think there's too much more stupid I can take. And it's quite obvious that JM Truth is a total fucking moron with a complete misunderstanding of what real science is. But JM Truth is a flat earther. And all flat earthers are fucking idiots. Now I'd like to take the time out to thank JM Truth for putting that condom on his head and protecting the rest of us from being infected by flat earth stupidity. Because JM Truth, you are a fucking idiot. Alright guys, so you made it to the end of the video and now you want to see more Team Skeptic. That's totally understandable. But before you head off to watch the rest of my videos, go ahead and smash that like button and hit the subscribe button to stay notified of new content. Now this was my first video to do on camera and I'd really love to get your opinion, whether it's good, bad, or just plain ugly. Now before you ask the question, let me go ahead and give you the answer. No. Cream Skeptic and Lego Man are not going anywhere. This is just a new dynamic to my persona that I'm bringing to the table. Now I'd like to give a massive shout out to all of my channel members and patrons whose support helps me continue doing what I love to do. And a special shout out to Aussie Globehead, who encouraged me to focus my attention on JM Truth for this video. I'm Father Skeptic, and I'm out.